Hey yo guys, just back here to give you my thoughts on a couple of things actually. First of all, it was today the big press conference that the Dana White and the UFC put out regarding some of the news items that they'd been talking about since the affliction fall through last Friday actually. And as well in this video, I'm going to talk about the two TNA releases, and of course the biggest release of that is obviously Dutch Mantel, since he was a big Jeff Jarrett ally, and well, I'll get into that when I get there. But anyways, first of all, the UFC deal. First of all, they announced a few things. They announced the fact that there was no deal with Fedor. They tried, and they actually really did. If you look at the numbers, they were offering him like $5 million a fight, 30 million in total. M1 was getting a cut of the pay-per-view profits, which I didn't even think the UFC would do that. But M1 didn't really want the deal. I don't even they didn't want the deal. So M1 more hurt what the fans wanted. Basically, that's just plain and simple. M1 tried to spread the propaganda that they didn't think that the $30 million was not real. I personally can't believe that. I'm pretty sure the 30 million is more accurate than not. And just because the fact that the fans really wanted to hit Fedor in the UFC, and the UFC had turned their tone on Fedor from being overrated to this guy's really good, and we really want him because we know what he can do, and he was automatically going to get a title shot against Brock Lesnar. So it's very unfortunate. It's just more M1 not wanting Fedor in there. So, and there's the fact that it was more that fact as well. Plus, you got to include the fact that the UFC will never co-promote, and really, why should they? Because if it's their pay-per-view, just because Fedor's on it, why should they get a big profit out of it? I mean, really, I don't want to go on this rant that, of what Dana said, that they built the business, and, to an extent that they basically did, but, there's other things. It's not like you single-handedly did it, there was the pride, and that's a whole different video and such, but, there's a lot more positive news coming out of this whole thing. The first being that they reached a big TV deal in Europe, in England and Ireland, is the fact that the UFC is now available on ESPN, which is apparently starting up over in England, or near the UK, I should say. I really didn't know that, which is a big thing because, of course, ESPN's a big name in sporting over here. It's now getting its chance in the UK, so that's a big thing, for a big network like that. And plus, the UFC 101 will be free, and it'll also be free in HD. So that's a nice thing. They didn't really say that they got a deal. They didn't say they got a deal with ESPN in the States, but it's apparently a big TV deal's coming up. I know that FX has, FX isn't really a big deal, but they could put big shows on Fox. There's ABC, which should be in the running. NBC has had MMA that has Strikeforce, but a terrible time slot. But you get the big, UFC brand. That's obviously going to be in prime time. CBS, I don't think would take it since they have allegiance with Showtime, and they'd probably put Strikeforce on there when Strikeforce is ready. And that's about it. Fox, I think Fox is a good fit for it, personally, but I don't know about maybe the UFC. I think if they're going to do it, because, ESPN's MMA live show really mainly talks about UFC and such, but then again, you really can't fault them for that. But, well, you can't fault them for that, but they do talk about other stuff, but it's mainly UFC. But, I think they're going to put, if they anything, they'd put it on ABC, but yeah, that's just my thoughts there. They changed their main event for UFC 103 in Dallas. It was supposed to be Rich Franklin versus Dan Henderson, but the fans didn't want that fight, so they changed their mind and gave Rich Franklin versus Vitor Belfort. So, this fight, I think that's, a good, nice fight, considering I didn't want to see Dan Henderson face Rich Franklin, not for the fact that it's a rematch, but for the fact that Dan Henderson became kind of a superstar after UFC 100, with the knockout of Bisping and then his promo afterwards. So I didn't really want to see that get hurt, and the fact that, he so earned himself a title shot after that fight. So, he looks like he's going to be getting it, and so now it's going to be Marquardt and Maia, in the runner-up positions for after Silva versus Henderson too. So I don't know when we're going to get that fight. like Dana said in the press conference, it depends how Anderson feels after next weekend's 101 pay-per-view against Forrest Griffin, and I don't know how well he feels, because, Forrest likes to bring it. Let's just put it that way. I really don't know if I don't want to make any predictions on this yet, but yeah, Forrest likes to bring it, so we'll see. But my thing with them listening to, people on the internet, you don't really want to do that too much. I mean, yeah, there's some smart people on here, but most of the internet is dumb. Basically, if you're listening to the Sheerdog polls and stuff like that, I mean, I'm not saying everyone on Sheerdog is retarded or anything, but you really can't just listen to the fans and, like, a lot of the fans, what they want. Like, oh, we don't want to see this fight because it happened already. That makes really no sense. It was still a good fight. I mean, if it's a good fight, I want to see it again. Like, look, you got to look at the fact that the third Tito Ortiz Ken Shamrock fight, the fans bitched about that. It was actually one of the most bitched about fights ever in terms of MMA on the internet, and they did it, and it was the most successful for a certain time, the most successful mixed martial arts television show ever. I mean, it beat television. It would beat World Series games. That's how freaking good it was. And then of course Kimbo Slice happened, but still, like, you don't want to do that. And they were supposed to do at UFC 88 a rematch between Vanderlei Silva and Chuck Liddell, but the fans didn't want that because it was a rematch. So you don't listen to the fans that much. I mean, that's just a big thing. Like, you don't want to listen to the Sheerdog fan base, because there's some smart people who know what they're talking about, but majority of it's dumb. Like, really, a majority of the people on Sheerdog are retarded, and I think they clearly proved themselves after UFC 100. But I think the biggest thing is the Tito Ortiz is coming back to the UFC. This obviously is the biggest one. Am I happy to see Tito back? Yeah, I mean, Tito's a name. I like to see him fight. He's an entertaining person, so you can't ever knock him for that. I guess, my thing was him kind of bashing Strike. To an extent, he kind of did bash Striker. Didn't bash, them, like, oh my god, this is a stupid company, I'm not going there or anything, blah, blah, blah. But he's like, there's not going to be competition. He's like, Babalu, I'd smash him. Well, who knows? This is MMA. Anything can happen. So, we'll see. It looks like Tito will be fighting either, he says November or December. I think they'd want to put Tito on the Starrcade show along with Quentin Rampage Jackson and Rashad Evans, because, throw Tito on there, another big name, another big things for your buy rates. So that's something that's really you got to do there. And it looks like his opponent will be Mark Coleman. So it looks like, the UFC, they really, they're not throwing him in there with, top competition. They're throwing him with there someone that, can still hang, as, Coleman did prove that he can still hang. He beat a Stephan Bonner, who maybe hasn't really improved all that much since 2005. I can't really knock him too much. He had that suspension and then the injury of the knee, but he really hasn't improved that much. I don't want to knock the guy or anything like that, but still, I think, they obviously want to get Tito a win so he can come back on pay-per-view strong, and you know what, we'll see. So, and I guess this brings me back to the the Franklin Belfort fight. With that fight, Dan Henderson as a name is definitely better than Vitor Belfort. I mean, I'm not saying that Vitor Belfort's a zero, because, Vitor Belfort does have a name, he has a history, in the UFC. So, it's not like he's a nobody, but still, now that MMA had this massive resurgence since 2005, 2006, actually, like, it's really exploded since 2008, and 2007, 2008 on. Most people woun't really know who he is, so that's just my thoughts there. And I guess the last big thing coming out of it is they kind of made mention that, UFC 100 did in excess of 1.5 million buys, which, they didn't expect, but to me, I think Dana expected it, but he just said a little bit lower, just, not to get his hopes up. I don't know. That's just what I think, and, I guess he's going to have to jump off the Mandalay Bay Event Center, as he promised he would, so we'll see. Other than that, really, that's a big thing. I mean, no Fedor coming in. It does suck, but it's basically M1 Global happened. M1 Global is mainly the downfall of that deal, and the, UFC not wanting to co-promote. I mean, you can knock them for not wanting to co-promote, but you really can't as well. Like, why should they give them a piece of the pie? when just because one guy's on the show. I mean, then that would just set up every other business. Well, we could co-promote here. Not gonna happen. So that's just my thoughts really on the whole thing. The thing you also have to kind of laugh at is, at the beginning of the press conference, he basically said, "Please, no Fedor questions," and then someone kept knocking at. Someone asked it anyway, and he kind of went on this little rant and cut a promo on M1, so or Fedor and M1 basically saying, "Oh, he's a Russian freak," and da 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 stuff like that. So we'll see. That's just my thoughts there. I mean, UFC's getting Fedor over. I'll tell you that. So wherever he goes, whether he fights in Strikeforce, which is a possibility. I don't know if if Strikeforce would they probably put him for the one fight deal. I guess maybe if they need someone badly, or he can fight back in Japan and Dream, whatever. So that's just my thoughts there. So, and also the fact that UFC got in, UFC/WEC got a few other guys. LC Davis, Mark Hominick, Javier Vasquez, Paul Daly, Ben Rothwell. He's coming back to the UFC. A lot of these guys are coming over. So a lot of new talents coming into the UFC, and it makes the UFC extra more exciting, because there are a lot of guys in Affliction that you wanted to see maybe how they could hang in the UFC. Now you actually get the chance. Paul Daly is someone, to me, I think great. The UFC has now 3 guys from the UK that they can strongly market. You got Bisping, you got Dan Hardy, who's really coming up after that big win at UFC 99 against Marcus Davis. And now you got Paul Daly, who actually held his own there against Jake Shields. I haven't seen his recent fight since his fight after that, but I believe it was with MFC, Maximum Fighting Championship, where Bobby Lashley had his fight against Mike Cook. But I haven't seen Paul Daly's fight since then. But he held his own with Jake Shields for a while before just falling down to the supremacy of his jiu-jitsu. But other than that, really excites me. And actually, I believe LC Davis and Javier Vasquez are fighting on the undercard of WEC 42, which I wish this could be a main card fight, and hopefully they change it, or hopefully it goes. A lot of the main card fights go short, and we have that before we get Torres Bowles. That'd be just something I would love to have happen. And Mark Hominick's going to be on WEC 43, so I got to support the Canadian boy. Anyways, moving away from the UFC and moving over to TNA. TNA today made two releases of 2 agents, and one was a head booker as well. They released Savio Vega, who had signed with them last year around this time to be, a road agent, and Dutch Mantell. Now, Dutch has been with the company for a very long time and was a big Jeff Jarrett ally. So basically what this means is the only booker you have right now is Vince Russo. I know. But, this to me is a big thing, because we all know about this Kurt Angle, Jeff Jarrett. Actually, let me bring that up. Of course, this has been talked about a while, but I haven't really talked about it. Basically, someone said they worked for TNA, and it was true, I guess. They just changed their voice, that Karen Angle and Jeff Jarrett were living together, and that Kurt's kids were living with Jeff's kids at their house. And, Kurt found out about this and got hot. And, Dixie Carter sent, Jeff Jarrett to take some time off. And, it leaves the question, how much power is Jeff going to even have in his own company? And, Kurt Angle was cutting promos on Jeff, and he was basically saying, look, if Jeff Jarrett comes back, I'm leaving. I'm not going to resign my contract. I'm going to go to the WWE and be successful there. So, that's just a whole thing that, this could potentially bring the company down. Now you get rid of Dutch Mantell, who's been with the company for a long time, and, was a Jeff Jarrett ally. Taking him away, that's just showing a little bit of the Jeff Jarrett power declining, and that maybe Kurt Angle's coming in. And then with Russo, you have to wonder 2 things. Does Kurt like Russo? Because I think, he does. I think Kurt and Russo have a strong relationship. Or is it the fact that maybe Russo's on his way out? I mean, we all know Jeff Jarrett and Vince Russo have this huge, strong relationship. So, we'll see. Mantell, to me, that's the biggest one because of that. And, Mantell was the one that they really wanted to help get over this main event Mafia angle, because he did a version of this in Puerto Rico, in IWA Puerto Rico, which was very successful to that company. So he was a big key to that, and it just didn't get over the way they wanted it. So I guess that's one of the reasons, and I don't think it's a cost cutting thing. I think it may have to be something along those lines, like I made mention of. With Savio, it's unfortunate because Savio, to me, for a guy who's been in the business for a very long time, he's got the experience. He's been to Japan. He had that run in the WWF, since '94. So. And his long run in TNA, and the fact that he's helped run a company, he can give that kind of insight as well. And plus, he's still a good worker. So I don't know. I mean, I'm disappointed. I like Savio Vega as a person. I think Savio is one of the better guys that are going around there. Obviously, I think he's he don't have to worry about is he gonna go to WWE? I really doubt it. I think he's very fine in IWA Puerto Rico as being the head booker and on screen or in the ring talent. It just didn't angle down there where him and his brother, who'd been a heel, had just reunited. So at their anniversary show, which because of Savio's connections with TNA, they had the Beautiful People on as well. So we'll see. I guess speaking of that, I always thought that Savio, since he did some Spanish commentary, would have been a great guy to do that. But we'll see. I didn't understand why they didn't throw Savio with LAX. Just to give them another strong rub of, not maybe a guy who didn't get a big as a push as a Conan or something like that, but Savio can actually talk. His Latino accent isn't too bad or anything, but yeah, the biggest one is Dutch because of those reasons, and we'll see. I haven't seen Impact yet, but I saw the first episode of Impact with Russo without a filter, and God, was that garbage. So we'll see. I mean, this company, they're going to be one to look out for to see where they go. Could they be a demise? I don't know. We'll have to see. I mean, there's even reports that Paul Heyman may take it over as long as he can have complete hands-on control. And if that happens, and I think it's more likely to happen than not, because we all know that Kurt Angle and Paul Heyman themselves have a really strong relationship. And Dixie is going to do anything to appease her best worker in Kurt Angle. So if they get Paul Heyman, then there's a hope. I don't know. A lot of people are saying, let's throw Cornette in there. I think Cornette right now is too old to do it, and he doesn't want to make all that traveling. I think he's very happy with, just kicking back and, doing NWA fan fests and stuff like that. Writing his book, which I actually will be getting soon. So, yeah, I mean, I don't think we're going to get Cornette. I mean, with Cornette, there is still the hope that there would be a product override. Like, you would definitely see a complete change, but I just don't think because of those reasons. Like, when you look at Cornette's booking from, WCW or NWA, WCW pay-per-views and television compared to his writing of OVW, complete change. Like he gets that you got to change with the times, and TNA is just stuck in a certain gear. So with those two names, I've been preaching that they should have let Cornette, but then like I said, Cornette's getting older, and I don't think he really wants to be booking at his age with. Yeah, that's just basically one of those reasons. But if they can get Heyman, who seems to be pretty happy, but doing his Heyman hustle thing and having that deal with the Sun, we'll see. I think it would be really interesting if they can get Heyman. Because Heyman can get some very interesting things out of certain people. So, anyways, really, that's going to be it for this video. I am out. Peace.